Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Thought I would jump on here real quick since I got my Grizzly cleaned up after the last riding weekend and in preparation of the next riding weekend. Thought I'd jump on here, give a quick update on the parts I have bought since my last update video. I will also go over my old upgrades, but I'm going to wait to do that until after I go over the new parts that I've put on since my last video. If you want to see any of the old stuff and detail on that, you can see my last video. I'll put a link down in the comments or down in the description. So I have about just under 1,700 miles on this at this point, about 141 hours. The first thing I want to start off on is talking about the Tusk Trilobite tires. I did get these about 1,200 miles ago. I have about 1,200 miles on them, and as you can see, the tread is still pretty fierce. I'd say still about 85–90% tread on these. They are a Bighorn, Maxxis Bighorn knockoff, and they're less than half the price, and I think they will, they're definitely going to last quite a bit longer. Like I said, I think they still have about 85% tread left at least. And 1,200 miles, most of which was, not most of which, but a lot of which has been road riding. I'd say there's probably 200 to 250 miles worth of road riding on these. Just last weekend we probably did about 50 miles worth of road, and we know that eats these tires up. So I did almost stock sizing. I went an inch wider on the front, so they're 26×9×12s on the front, and then I went with the stock sizing on the rear as well, 26×10×12 on the rear. Stayed with the stock tires, or the stock wheels. I like the looks of the stock wheels, and that was another way to save a quick penny put into other parts of the bike. So on to some of the newer parts I've added since I last did my update. I put this power mat grab strap on. This was pretty much for the niece and nephew and the upcoming kids to ride, to help them, give something for them to hold on to. I know when I was a kid riding with my dad on that guy over there, I always had a bar to hold on to, and there's really nothing to hold on to up here if the kids are sitting in front of you. So that was a purchase we made for, well, I got one for my quad, got one for Mandy's quad, got one for the old man's quad and Maha's quad, just because it's good for them to hold on to. Other updates, Tusk heated grips. I put on off of Rocky Mountain. They were fairly inexpensive. I think they were about 50 bucks. There's 5 different settings, controller box, and then you can also, I think for about $15 more, you can get a thumb warmer as well that plugs right into that wiring. I personally really like the grips. They are plenty hot enough. I've used them a lot. I even used them just last weekend at the beginning of June because it was raining, my hands were cold. So you don't just use them in the winter time. They're good to have. I'm a big fan of those. EHS Tuner I put on since my last video. I actually did a whole video on that, as well as the airbox mod that you have to do for the uni filter, or you don't have to do, but it also can be done. Got all those parts when we picked up the old man's 2021 Kodiak that he's been riding around, the green one, if you've seen it in my videos. Those parts all came with it, because the guy never installed them on the Kodiak, so we just put them on this. Other things, I did the 2R exhaust tip. I'm pretty darn happy with it. I mean, it was super cheap compared to buying a whole slip-on, and which I may do down the line, because I know the stock pipes start to look pretty bad after not too many years. But I do like the 2R tip. It is nice and deep. I don't think it's too loud, and once I got that tuner, I figured, hey, may as well, right? Next thing, I put on the 20-inch, I think it's called a Sky World light bar. It was off of Amazon. Mounted that on the front rack. There's a little switch right up here for that. I also, since I have so many darn electrical accessories on here, installed a fuse block, and please forgive me for how dirty it might be under here, because I don't normally squirt off under here. But I installed this fuse block for all my accessories that is wired directly to the battery, and the whole fuse block is also run through a relay, so nothing on the fuse block turns on unless the key is on. Kind of help save battery. Speaking of that, I also installed a DeWalt battery tender. I put one on both mine and Mandy's bikes, and keep them plugged in all the time unless they're on the trail. This thing can be easily tucked in, but I have it out because I'm not on the trail right now. I also put this little shift knob on. The old man gets all over me about it, says it looks like a screwdriver. He's probably right, but the colors match, so I'm going to keep it on for now. And lastly, the Moose front bumper. If you guys saw my rock run video from last fall, you saw I got backed into, and it damaged the front bumper a little bit, so I figured, hey, why not just beef it up a little bit. It mounted up pretty easily. I think it looks pretty darn good. Once I was able to bend the stock bumper back into place, I was able to mount it up pretty easily. It's just 4 bolts and gives you a lot more rugged look, and also helps you push some of those little trees down and stuff like that without damaging the plastic bumper covers and whatnot. So that's what I've done since my last video. So just to highlight and then kind of go over how things are holding up as far as the other accessories I have on here. Handguards, I have PowerMad. I have quite a few PowerMad products on here, and so do the rest of the crew. I'm quite a PowerMad guy. Even the couple little problems we've had, they've been very quick to respond and make things right. So PowerMad grips, or I'm sorry, PowerMad handguards with the LED kit, and the mirrors. Those are very nice to have. You can't see a ton, but if there's someone behind you with their headlights on, you can definitely tell, which we always ride with our headlights on for safety, so you can always see if someone's behind you. That grab strap that I mentioned earlier is also PowerMad, and then also PowerMad reverse light I'm a big fan of. It's wired into both a switch, which is right up here, and then also wired directly into the reverse wiring, so it comes on whenever you're in reverse. Also have the aftermarket bulb for the handlebar light, so it kind of matches everything else. And if you guys need links to anything like that, or any parts or anything, just let me know. I have the list of the parts in the description of all my videos. I'll include it in this one as well. But if you have any questions on where I get any of this stuff, let me know. That light bulb in the handlebar has worked out pretty well. It matches pretty darn well and was fairly cheap. I think it was about 17 bucks for a pair. Also have the quad lock phone mount with wireless charger. That is a game changer. I used to run Polaris Ride Command through my iPhone, but I've recently acquired an old Samsung phone, so I was able to get Backcountry Navigator Pro and run whatever maps I need to through that. Currently, for at least the Hatfield McCoy Trail systems, I'm running Bob T's maps for the Hatfield McCoy Trail systems, and then the Outlaw Trails. Those have worked out pretty well. I also have trail maps for a lot of the local parks, and you can download trail maps for pretty much anywhere and run them on the Backcountry Navigator Pro app. Also have the Yamaha rear cargo box. I like the looks of it, but I'm not sure how long it's going to hold up. The plastic hinges are getting pretty worn down. There's a lot of play there, and I've already had it fall off once. So not 100% sure how long that's going to last. I have about 2 seasons, not even a season and a half on it so far, and it's not holding up great. Also did custom warning placards. Basically just took them off, flipped them over, and painted them to kind of match the colors of the quad as well as the logos for Yamaha, and of course the bear for the Grizzly. Did mud flaps, which I pretty much just hacked up a bunch of a couple universal mud flaps I got off of Amazon to kind of, it stops the spray from the mud back here. It used to come all the way up here, now it stays right about here, and my feet stay a lot cleaner. Iron Baltic skid plates, full underneath aluminum. Very happy with those. I think they've saved my bike a couple times at this point, and they're holding up great. A couple of the bolts have stripped out, unfortunately, but I was able to replace those, so that's really not a big deal. And lastly, I have the 3,500 pound Zeak winch. It is an Amazon winch. It is a cheaper winch. I know a lot of people swear by the Warns, but I mean, I've never had a problem buying cheap winches. This thing has got me out of a lot already. I've used it quite a bit, and I mean, even some of the other winches they have out there that aren't Warn winches. I know the Badlands is what I've installed on both Mandy's quad and the old man's new one. They'll last forever. So I don't know that it's worth the extra buck for Warn. This Zeak has done just fine for me. I think that's about it as far as upgrades on this go. I think I'm about done putting money into it, I hope, but you know, things always come up. So if there's anything that you guys can think of, let me know, other than of course a full exhaust, because that's something I would love to do, but you know, I don't see it necessary right now. That 2R tip's cool. It's fine by me. I don't need any more power out of this thing that it already has. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's 1,700 miles. Thing's still running great. I've had to replace an axle. I've had to replace a couple seals, stuff like that, unfortunately, but you know, that just comes with riding hard. So, and 1,700 miles in, you know, a year and a half, I think is a pretty high number. Some of you may agree, some of you may disagree, but it's more than I've ever ridden a machine. So I'm really happy with the machine and most of the parts I've put on it, to be honest with you. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna get this thing just about checked over one more time. Same with that thing, we're going to check that over one more time. I think the chain needs tightened, but everything else seems to check out. And then we are going to get them loaded up next week and head back down to Cabway Lingo. I think you're probably seeing this video within the Father's Day series down at the Southern Hatfield McCoy Trails. But after that, we should have some videos from Cabway Lingo, as the old man, Mandy, and Ma and I are all heading down there next weekend. Staying in a couple cabins, taking the dogs, and we're gonna ride around. We're gonna hopefully even hit the East Lynn Trail, the East Lynn Outlaw Trails, and explore a little bit over there. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you out there on the trails.